Good morning. Today I would like to explain about compounding and fabrication of plastics. First of all, this is K.S. Santosh Kumar, Assistant Professor. I would like to have compounding and fabrication of plastics today. And before going to the compounding and fabrication of plastics, let us have a look on the water plastics and what are the different types of plastics we have. First, plastic is a material which is a large organic polymer with a very high molecular mass, and these plastic materials are usually synthetic and most commonly derived from the petrochemicals. And first synthetic plastic can be considered as bakelite. Bakelite can be considered as the first fully synthetic plastic material, which was invented in 1907 in New York. So plastic materials are huge organic polymers with high molecular weights or masses. And if you come to the types of plastics, plastics can be broadly divided or classified into two types. One is thermosetting plastics, means these plastic materials are having high cross-linked structures, and they form a rigid molecular structure of the plastic. Although they soften when heated the first time, and which allows them to be shaped, they become permanently stiff and solid and cannot be reshaped. So once the material which is heated to some temperature, so it will become soft and it will be shaped. But when it is shaped once after cooling, then it won't again getting reshaped after heating. That plastic material is known as thermosetting plastic. Thermosetting plastic is permanently setted plastic which cannot be reshaped. Reshaped once it can be shaped by heating as well as cooling, but once it is becoming stiff after cooling, it cannot be reshaped once again. So that type of polymer is a thermosetting plastic material. And we can take examples for thermosettings as urea formaldehyde resin as well as polyester resin. And if you come to second one is thermoplastic material. Thermoplastic is can be reshaped on heating as well as cooling, and we can reshape this thermoplastic at any number of times by heating it as well as cooling it. That's why it is not permanently setted. We can change the shape of this plastic material whenever you want. And similarly, these thermoplastic materials are long chain polymers, and when these are heated, they will become soft, and when they are cooled, they will become hard. So this heating cooling process can make these materials as soft and hard. So this can be a continuous cycle, and this can be a continuous process. And we can take PVC, polyvinyl chloride, and nylons as examples for the thermoplastic materials. And now let us come back to compounding of rubber plastics. So what is compounding of plastic? We can define like this: the process by which ingredients are intimately mixed together into a nearly homogeneous mass is known as compounding. Simply, compounding is the process of mixing the plastic material with some ingredients, and these ingredients will increase the properties of the plastic material. So the plastic material properties will be highly improved by the compounding process. Compounding is just mixing of external substances to the plastic to improve its properties. And this is about mixing and compounding. Already we discussed. So compounding is simply known as the mixing of some external substances from outside to improve the properties. And these are the physical process which are involving in the mixing and compounding of the plastics. So different ingredients are brought to very close contact, and they are subjected to shear forces. Similarly, deformation takes place, resulting in increase in the interfacial area between the components. So in this process, we can apply the shimmering, folding, stretching, wiping, and striation, and the compression and shearing. All of these take place simultaneously throughout the process of this compounding. And now let us take some ingredients, some external substances which we are going to add during the compounding of the plastic. And each and every ingredient will help in improving the properties of the plastic material. So first one is fillers. So these fillers are added to provide special properties or to impart special properties to the plastic materials, and these are also helpful to reduce the cost of the finished product. So fillers may simply used as a loading agents. So these can be in two forms. Number one is particulate material, and number two is fibrous material. We can take carbon black, silica, wood floor as particulate materials as fillers. Similarly, glass fiber, cotton, wood pulp are the fibrous materials which can be used as fillers. So fillers are imparting special properties to the plastic material. Next ingredient is plasticizer. So these plasticizers are high boiling non-volatile organic compounds which are used to reduce the modulus of a polymer. So increasing the concentration of the plasticizer always causes the transition from high modulus region to low modulus region at lower temperatures. So for this purpose, we are using tricrysyl phosphate and dioctyl phthalate as the plasticizers. So plasticizers are the second ingredients which are added during the compounding of plastics, right? And next, please, stabilizers. So stabilizers are stabilizing the material. So these ingredients are protecting the polymer, nothing but plastic, from thermal exposure, from the oxidative action, similarly from photodegradation. So for this purpose, we are adding antioxidants. So antioxidants protect the polymer, nothing but plastic, from the oxygen attack. So oxidative reaction can be prevented by using antioxidants. So we can use para-substituted phenyl phosphides as antioxidants in this case. Similarly, uh, photodegradation, UV absorber, UV absorber, which we are adding, that can protect the polymer against degradation by ultraviolet light. The exposure to the ultraviolet light will be harmful to the material, that may lead to the degradation of the plastic. That's why, to prevent that type of degradation, we used to have phenyl salicylate, phenyl salicylate as one of the UV absorber, which is absorbing the UV light and protecting the plastic material, and it is stabilizing the plastic material. So this is antioxidants and UV absorbers are stabilizing the plastic material from oxidative action as well as from photo degradation. Next ingredient is coloring agents. So coloring agents contain some pigments which are inorganic, and various types of shades of pigments and dyes are used as coloring agents in the plastic compounding. So these coloring agents are also colorants, have high covering power, and this should be stable under processing conditions, and it shows different degrees of solubility in the polymer matrix. So these are the characteristics of coloring agents. So the plastic material gets any desired color by the addition of these coloring agents. We add different types of pigments to get desired color for the plastic material by adding coloring agents. Now it is lubricating and flowing promoters, nothing but lubricating substances. So what is the purpose of using these lubricating substances? So we use this plastic material in the molding during the fabrication of the plastic. So the softer plastic material may stick to the mold apparatus, mold, nothing but die. So whenever it is sticking to the mold, then definitely the shape of that plastic article will not be perfect. So that's why the mold should not have any sticky nature to the plastic. So plastic should not stick to the mold. To avoid that type of sticking, we have to use this lubricating promoter or flow promoter, etc. And these are preventing from the sticking of plastic material to the mold. So we can get very very smooth removal of the plastic article from the mold after fabrication. So this is the purpose of lubricating promoter. And similarly, cross linking agents or the other ingredients should be added in the compounding. So it is used for the uh, cross link formation, especially in the thermoset plastics. Thermoset plastics are having cross linkages, and these cross linkages will be formed by the addition of cross linking agents. For example, we have sulfur, we have peroxide. So benzyl peroxide is very very widely used for the formation of cross linkages in the thermosetting plastics. So these cross linkages are making the plastic material very very strong, and the plastic material is getting permanent setting nature by the addition of these cross-linked agents. So like this, we used to have cross-linking agents, lubricating promoters, coloring agents, stabilizers, nothing but antioxidants and UV absorbers, plasticizers, and fillers. These are the different ingredients we are using in the compounding of plastic materials. And after addition of these ingredients, now the plastic material is ready to undergo fabrication, right? So now let us take up the fabrication of plastics. Now plastic is mixed with all required ingredients. Now this plastic material is subjected to the molding. So during this molding, the plastic article will be desired article will be prepared or produced. So that process is called as fabrication. So in this fabrication, we have different methods, totally 9 methods we have here, but let us take only 3 or 4 methods and let us see some uh, important contents of these fabrication methods. So the first method is compression molding and transfer molding, injection molding, extrusion molding, blow molding, calendering, thermoforming, rotational molding, laminating. So these are the important methods used in the fabrication of plastics in general. And now let us take three or four and let us see how this molding is taking place. So number one, compression molding. Compression molding is the forming process, and compression molding is followed by two steps. Number one is preheating, number two is pressurizing. First, the plastic material will be preheated, then it becomes into soft material, and we'll apply some pressure on that in the mold. Then that soft material, plastic material, is getting the shape of the mold, which is required mold. And after that, the material will be cooled. Whenever it is cooled, it is getting the shape of that mold and it is becoming hard. So that is the process involving in the uh, compression molding. We are going to compress the plastic charge, and when it is compressed, the charge of the plastic is filling in the cavity of the mold, and that mold shape is obtained by the charge of the plastic. Now charge of the plastic is getting the shape of that mold, and it will be cooled, and now that article is getting a solid shape, and we can remove that from that mold after cooling. So this is a compression molding in general, and this is a process description we can use. So this is a mold, split mold. So we are taking the plastic charge, and after that it will be closed, and we will apply some pressure on this, and this plastic charge is getting the shape of that mold, and it will be allowed to cool for some time. After cooling, the mold will be removed, opened. When mold is opened, the article will be taken out. So we are getting the final product after cooling the molds. So this is compression process. And next one is, these are the parameters which we are using in the compression molding, just like pressure and temperature and curing time. Curing time means the conversion of the soft plastic material into the hard solid plastic material. That is mostly maximum 5 minutes. It may take up to 5 minutes maximum. So these are the different parameters we can use in the compression molding. And after that, let us go for the transfer molding, which is almost similar to the compression molding. So here, the first method, compression molding, and this transfer molding can be used for the fabrication of thermoset plastics only. So here, thermoset polymers can be formed when a preset amount of material is placed in a separate cavity and heated. You see, so this is a mold. We are having some cavity here. So in this cavity, the plastic material will be charged. After that, it will be heated, right? So after heating, the material is becoming soft, and due to that pressing, the material is getting the shape of that mold. So it will be cooled later, and after cooling, it will be taken out as desired product. Next, this is injection molding. Injection molding is used to produce thermoplastics as well as thermosetting materials. We can produce both thermoplastic and thermosetting plastic materials by using the injection molding. But first and second war, compression molding and transfer molding were used for the thermosets, but here it can be used for the both. So in this, what happens? Similar, nothing but identical items or articles can be produced in the large number by using this injection molding. We will have a series of same similar molds, and we can pass that plastic charge in the form of a injection into the molds, and they will be heated, and after heating, the mold is getting the material is getting the mold shape, and finally it will be cooled and taken out. So that's why the injection molding is going to produce more number of similar items. So for this purpose, we can use polystyrene, nylon, polypropylene, PVC. So like plastic materials can be fabricated by using the injection molding. So injection molding is producing large number of same type of articles. So you can see the process here. So this is a process which is used in the injection molding. So we are taking one charge of plastic in the form of a granules from the hooper. So now this charge is introduced into the heater. Actually, we have heater here, we have screws, and this is just like a syringe. So we can inject this plastic charge with the help of these screws, and we are having the arrangement of heating around this screw, and whenever the plastic charge is passing through the screw, the charge will be heated and it will become soft, and the soft end charge is now introduced into the mold, split mold. So the split mold is completely filled with the charge now. So the charge is getting the shape of this split mold, and it will be cooled later, and it is getting the required shape, and it is becoming hard. After becoming hard, it will be taken out from this mold. So this is regarding the injection molding, which is very, very popular one. And finally, let us take up extrusion molding. So it is a continuous molding, continuous process used to produce both solid and hollow products that have a constant cross section, like window frames, hose pipes, curtain cracks, so and so. And these are continuous products which we can prepare, produce from the extrusion molding. And thermostatic granules are fed from a hooper, and we will have one screw which is rotating through a heated cylinder. So like that, the process which is discussed in the injection molding, almost similar to this, but here the process is very, very simplified. You see, this is a extrusion molding. So in this extrusion molding, we are a hooper. From this hooper, we are taking the charge of the plastics, and this is a screw which is having the heating arrangement. And when this charge is entering into the screw, the heaters are heated. So due to that, heating is becoming into soft material, and that soft material is introduced into the die or mold. And whenever the mold is filled with plastic charge, the cooled water will be supplied around this die. So the plastic material will be cooled by passing cold water. So after cooling, then the article will be taken out from this die. So like this, we have 4 fabrication methods discussed now. So finally, thank you.